Good night and welcome to Mindful Live 437. I am your host, your co-host, Nathan Springer. The hostesses are sleeping currently. Good time. No one to get them down to sleep before 10. Good stuff. Before 9 even. We got them down before 9 even. So, good stuff. Oh, good night, Kwesi Andrews. That's crazy, Trini Hotep says. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, bro. It's kind of crazy. It is. All over in the news. Welcome. Once you're on the inside, make sure you hit that like button. If you're viewing this over on YouTube, hit that like button. Allow the like button to feel your presence. And drop a comment. Leave a comment. Share it to those who may like this kind of stuff. Hey, say, hey. Take this in. This is some good stuff. Good stuff. Take a share. Go give someone else to listen to this. So hit that share button. If you're over on TikTok, double tap that screen. That's how you hit the like button over there. You hit the screen 2 times. Tow. Just briskly, 2 quick taps. Pow. Good night, David Army over on YouTube. Good night to the YouTubers. Thanks for viewing. Yeah. Well, up early in the morning. Well, early in the morning isn't too much of a problem, really and truly. Not too much of a problem for me. All right, let's jump into some of the news. We're starting off over in Haiti. Bacchanal in Haiti. Well, yeah, Bacchanal in Haiti we would start with. There's some stuff coming out from Canada too in terms of the international. But I think we'll talk about that when we're talking about the issues that Chogam is bringing up. Because Chogam is right around the corner. You all remember Chogam? There's another one, of course. Let's jump in over on Haiti. Police in Haiti battle a gang coalition trying to seize control of the entire capital. Police on Monday clashed with gunmen trying to take over one of the few communities in Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, that is not controlled by gangs. Solino has been under attack since Thursday, with residents calling radio stations pleading for help as they fled their homes. Officers seized controls of several areas as they keep pursuing gang members, Haiti's national police said in a statement late Sunday. In a video posted on social media, gang members hoisted automatic weapons in the air and cheered as they claimed control over parts of Solino, warning that all those who are not part of a gang coalition known as Vivan Sanam will be burned to ashes. Prime Minister Gary Conille held an emergency meeting Monday to talk about the attacks in Solino and other neighborhoods. He announced the immediate recall of several hundred police officers and soldiers from elite units protecting high-ranking officials so they could be redeployed to neighborhoods under assault. We will not cede strategic neighborhoods such as Solino and other recently liberated areas. The security of our citizens is non-negotiable, he wrote on social platform X. Now, to some extent, what is going on in Haiti? Woy, Nisi! How things, I see you're back on the internet. You're back mobile. Welcome. I have 2 hosts now. Yeah, the thing going on in Haiti is a bit strange. They're calling it gang war. But to some extent, what is going on in Haiti could probably be described, realistically, as a civil war. That may realistically be able to be described as a civil war, because this isn't necessarily like Trinidad, where you have rival gangs just looking to feud over gang territory to make some money on their illegal duties or whatever. No, these gangs have united into one entity and they are attempting to conquer the entirety of a city. And I don't think they will remain at Port-au-Prince. I think their intention is to rule Haiti. And if you listen to them speak on what they're saying, they're not talking necessarily typical gangster stuff. They're talking conquest. Now, I've said this before. Maybe partially with the style of founding of Haiti, the revolution and violent overthrow of their colonial masters. It could have set in motion a mentality that if you do not like those in rulership over you, violent overthrow is a good option. That may be part of Haiti's DNA. And if that is the case, there very likely will be some who will look at what the gangsters are doing, look at what the politicians are doing, and say, hey, well, they're just fighting those corrupt leaders. Haiti's interim administration struggling to remain intact over corruption scandal. Haiti's interim transitional government is struggling to remain intact in the wake of a growing corruption scandal involving 3 of its key members. The list of agencies and organizations calling for their departure grows weekly. Emmanuel Verteler, Louis Gerald Gilles, and Smith Augustin are accused of demanding payments of nearly $800,000 from the manager of the state-owned National Credit Bank in exchange for him being allowed to keep his job. Raoul Pascal Pierre-Louis had complained about the alleged bribery demands to Prime Minister Gary Conille, but was promptly fired. Local media reports initially dubbed his dismissal surprising. However, subsequent information from investigators indicates that the manager had been assisting the 3 with favors, but balked when they demanded a large sum of payment in exchange for keeping his job. All 3 have denied the allegations, even though an ongoing official probe has recommended their dismissals and criminal charges. So, tell me now, if I'm a Haitian gangster, well, they're calling me a gangster. I may consider myself a freedom fighter. I'm fighting for the people. Because this is who we are fighting as the Haitian gangster. You understand? If I am a Haitian gangster, this is who we are fighting. People who seemingly are obviously corrupt. Our country is broke, poor, destitute, starving, in the worst condition in the Western Hemisphere. And every little cent that finds its way into the country's coffers, we have these snakes and leeches at the top sucking it out. Now, if I am to follow the Haitian credo of oppressive rule, gives me the right to overthrow them. Louverture and those guys, I'm just stepping in their shoes. How are you to tell me I'm wrong for wanting to liberate my country from these corrupt people when these corrupt people are obviously stealing our money? Why must you want to get rid of me and leave them in place? What makes me the criminal and not them? Looking at some stuff here, gang dominant sources agree that gangs control a staggering 80% of Port-au-Prince, highlighting the severity of Haiti's security crisis. Vivan Sam's impact. This is the gang coalition, the Vivan Sam gang coalition. Analysts concur that the formation of the Vivan Sam gang coalition has significantly altered the dynamics of violence in Port-au-Prince. There's consensus that gang violence has led to a massive displacement of residents, with hundreds of thousands forced to flee their homes. International forces, some who are on the pro-government side, they believe that international forces are crucial for restoring order and supporting Haiti's overwhelmed police force against the powerful gang coalitions. While on the gang side, some say foreign intervention is ineffective and may exacerbate tensions, with local solutions and community resistance being more impactful. And you know, maybe I agree with them. Later, Torres, later. maybe I agree with them. Is it possible to get an outside force to go inside of Haiti and get rid of these gangs and put the power into the hands of these corrupt officials without making the entire thing worse? How would members of the gang and families of them and loyalists of those gangs see that action over time? Can you imagine, okay, you come in and liberate Haiti from these gangs and put it in the hands of these corrupt officials, and within another year there's scandal after scandal with millions upon millions of dollars being lost. No one is any better. No one is being alleviated out of poverty. No one is being fed. Things are just going south faster and faster. What you going to tell them then about your international intervention? Some see it that gang control provides a form of governance in areas neglected by the state, with some communities adapting to coexist with gang presence. A point I've made before. To some extent, what police are is the largest, most recognized gang, you know. So if a gang effectively takes over the entirety of a territory, they can no longer really function like a hoodlum gang. They cannot just rob everyone in sight. It just wouldn't work like that. Now, to some extent, the gang would have to be managing their territory. That's why most of those very large gangs go into protection rackets, etc. What is a protection racket? To some extent, in a certain sense, according to how you look at it, you could look at it and call what the police do a protection racket. We must pay taxes in order to give the police service billions of dollars per year in order for them to protect us. We pay them to protect us with violence. The gangs may say that's exactly what they're doing too. You pay us, you concede power to us, just as we do to the police, in order for us to protect you. And I don't doubt that after the gang has already controlled an area, because if you listen to what the gang said there, they're not just wildly burning and looting and killing everyone. They are trying to scare and put the fear into people, into getting them to align with the gangs. If you align with the gangs, then great, you're free, you're safe, and we protect you. Some people see it. How do we address the root problems of this? The root problems on the government side, they may see it that prioritizing security operations and law enforcement is necessary to create stability before addressing underlying issues. Ronnie says that doesn't sound safe. Maybe not, but it's safer than the alternative, very likely. While those on the gang side say addressing poverty, unemployment, and political instability is crucial to prevent gang recruitment and reduce violence long term. You see, it's a kind of chicken and the egg thing. If the circumstances, the situation that Haiti finds themselves in, makes it very alluring for people to enter the gang life. Corrupt institutions, few opportunities, political instability, poverty. This makes the gang life very alluring for young people. What do we do first if you're Haiti? Do you go and attempt to give opportunities to those less fortunate in an attempt to sway them away from the gangs? Or do you bring in the security forces to crush the gangs, and after that you see about things? Which direction do you go? Which is the better direction? How do you save your country in that case? And with all of this on the face of it, all of this going on here, Bahamas jumps in. Bahamas soldiers deployed to Haiti. And listen, I fully understand why many countries don't want to send their soldiers into that quagmire. Personally, I feel like maybe Trinidad and Tobago's regiment shouldn't really be going there either. Because I am not 100% certain if they will be of benefit. And if they will not be of benefit, then very likely you're just either going to make the situation worse in Haiti and make life more difficult for your own soldiers, neither of which are positive outcomes. Desmond King says Haiti is the home of Obia. Well, I think the word you're looking for there is voodoo, not exactly Obia. And yes, it is the home to a large extent of the voodoo. Is the voodoo in here? Hey, should I leave the people them? Yes, Haiti does have a significant voodoo community, but I don't think that necessarily is the reason for all of that. I don't think so. That also could be a chicken and an egg kind of situation. You know, it's interesting. You look at Haiti and Haiti is the result of more African influence over a longer period of time. Not saying the negative things are, but things like voodoo being such a prominent place. In such a prominent place. So it's because Africans took over in a shorter period of time in Haiti. So you got to see the remnants of African spirituality and spiritualism in their religious structure. So if you're one of those wanting to repatriate and very pro-African, etc., well, that is what African culture brings forth. It's an African religion. Is Haiti an oil-rich country? No, I don't think so. But it's not that Haiti is without resources. But you can have how many resources you'd like. If you are mismanaged the resources cannot go anywhere. How are they going to sell the resources when gangs control the roadways? How do you extract the resources, get them to the ports when gangs control those areas? Then even if you were able to get them to the ports and able to export them and attempt to get some money, what do you do with that money when your political hierarchy is corrupt? Who did you think were Christian, Ronnie? Who were Christians? Haiti? And voodoo doesn't preempt someone from calling themselves Christian also. It doesn't. There are many people, like to some extent, the spiritual Baptists, the Shango Baptists, according to what level of Orisha you look at, many of them have a Christian flavored tint on an African religion. So in a lot of voodoo practices, there's that crossover. It's not unheard of. The next half is Dominican Republic. Yes, I know. Nathan, what's your suggestion to make Haiti a better country? Bro, I don't know. To be very honest, I don't know. Like, if this were... Understand what I'm saying here? I played a lot of strategy games growing up. If by chance this was one of those strategy games where it's a game, you're not actually talking about real people's lives and all of that very serious and significant stuff. If this was a game and I was in control of attempting to find some solution in the grand scheme of things there, maybe let the chips fall as they may and see where it all lands. Let the gangs go. See if the gangs are powerful enough to take over from the government. In other words, allow them to have, and after they solve that on their own, support the winner. Corruption caused them to become like that. To a large extent, yes. Corruption, oppression, advantage, but corruption exacerbates everything. Even if they were oppressed, advantaged, made to pay way more than they were supposed to pay and all of that, if all of that happened, but corruption wasn't a part of their history, Haiti may have still found themselves in a relatively better position. But corruption makes everything worse. Hezzy George says Haiti has a rich history when it comes to revolution, you know. Yes, I know. And that's kind of the point I'm saying. That's kind of the point I'm making. The Haitian gangs may see themselves, and they kind of say this, they see themselves in more of a freedom fighter mold than gang mold. I mean, the international news, the media calls them gangs, but they may consider themselves as the Haitian Liberation Army or something like that. That's how they may see themselves. They are fighting a corrupt government in their view. And the reality is the government is corrupt. So they really are fighting a corrupt government. So is it really our place to enter the people's country? Listen, the gangsters have more right in Haiti than any one of us. That is their country. Don't they have some kind of right to self-determination? And I'm speaking, as I said, in a vacuum, as looking at this purely with logic, without the thought of the human life, etc. Because the reality is, if you leave it for the chips to fall as they may and allow them to have their civil war, there would be a lot of strife, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of death, a lot of torture coming out of that. That is going to be a horrible scene. So it's not like that would be the perfect way also. Syncretism, when you mix different elements of religions. Correct, Ronnie, there will be a lot anyway. And like, to touch a very controversial topic, I've heard some people argue that the many ceasefires in the Middle East have actually worked to make the Middle East more like a tinderbox. Because if it is that you allow the stronger army to go through and conquer the weaker army, then that's the end of that battle. That's the end of that squabble. They're done, that's done, that there's no more rising up. But if every time a stronger army starts on a weaker army, you say, well, no, we can't have any fighting, let's have a ceasefire. But these people hate each other. All you're doing is prolonging the fighting, because they would stop fighting today and start back next week. And you leave it for generations and generations to feed into this fighting. Maybe you need them to finish what they started. Maybe there shouldn't really be any world police like that. Maybe countries have a right to self-determination. If the United States, Northern Yankees want to go down to the Southern Confederates and fight them and kill hundreds of thousands of them for not wanting to get rid of their slaves and for wanting their own more separate leadership, if they're willing to do that, is it really anyone's right to stop them from doing it? Many of, probably the vast majority of large countries had civil wars of some kind. They had differing views, differing ideologies, differing groups who went at it with each other. Like, seriously went at it. And someone won and someone lost. And the country changed directions, and that's the direction they went in. If you enter Haiti, if the Bahamas, Kenya, all of us enter Haiti, suppress these gangs, we get rid of barbecue and whoever are the gang leaders, there's no way you're going to get rid of all the gangs. I don't mean this, sometimes dregs is seen as a very bad insult, but I mean this in the descriptive sense. It's the dregs that are remaining in Haiti right now. Anyone with the ability to leave is going to leave. And those guys who are staying are very likely the guys who would be willing to fight. So, okay, you pat them down now. This year you pat them down. What's going to happen the next year? Are you going to stay in perpetuity? Because those guys are going to rise up again. It's not going to stop. And especially if the corrupt government remains. If the situation that caused the creation of the gangs continues to be the same, and you attempt to remove one gang now as a foreigner, is that going to stop it next year? Really, is it? Geopolitics is a complex thing. What direction should you go in? How do we see this working? And talking geopolitics, the Caribbean has been asking about reparations recently. Fergus rejects UK stance on reparations. The Trinidad and Tobago National Committee on Reparations chairman, Dr. Claudius Fergus, has rejected a recent position taken by the British government that the issue of reparations will not be on the agenda of the upcoming Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Samoa. I mean, well, of course. The guy who is the chairman of a committee on reparations doesn't agree that we shouldn't speak about reparations. I mean, yes, that goes without saying. Of course, that's what he believes. The CHOGM takes place from October 21st to 26th. On October 14th, the UK Guardian reported that a spokesperson for Prime Minister Keir Starmer said reparations were not on the agenda for CHOGM. Hezi George says Toussaint Louverture defeated the French. Haiti was in turmoil way before we were born. I know. And that's what I'm saying. That has been the culture of Haiti. And maybe that has something to do with it. That's to me, the problem with revolutionary thinking. I am much more of a reformer than a revolutionary if I were to think politically like that. The reformations happen a bit at a time, changing direction through discussion and changes of views. And this is the thing that many people don't like. Many of the extremists, and we talk about some of this even in reparations, they don't like reform. They want something massive and significant, and to hurt the people who went before, and to hurt the people who hurt them. If you're into reformation, you have to understand that you'd have to take some lashes. Some of those lashes that you get, you'd have to take. Everybody can't get back every lash. It just doesn't work. And maybe in the very genesis of Haiti, being a revolutionary country by nature, you create a revolutionary mindset. The revolutionary mindset says, if I disagree with what my leaders do, I should violently take over. That's the revolutionary view. And if you have that view moving throughout your society, where does it stop? That's why if you look at many revolutions where for there to be one revolution without a whole cycle of perpetual revolutions, what revolutionaries generally do is they have a revolution and then kill out all the other revolutionaries in the society. You see it in France, you see it in Russia. The revolutionaries are the first persons that the revolutionaries kill. Well, to me, revolution is on the cusp of all nations, to be honest. We talked about this. Yeah. And the reality is, obviously it is. I think the world is ripe, is set for many revolutions right now. Because there are many things that go into it. There are cycles that people study that say every 250 years, every X amount of years, there are revolutions and etc. and etc. etc. There are many things going on that point towards revolution. The fact that many people in the modern world are marrying and having children later and later is a sign of revolution coming. Because what that means, the general impetus for humankind, reproduction and carrying on our life, do not listen to these fools in modern life that try to make it about some kind of fairy. The general thing of humankind in the biological is reproduction and carrying on of their species. So when that becomes out of the realm of possibility, you end up in trouble. Then we have in the first world, people poking the bear. What is the bear? The bear is young men. And we have many of these modern societies insulting, humiliating, and throwing their young men further and further down the ladder. Here's the problem with young men though. Yeah, you could abuse them and do anything you want with them in society, because complex societies as they build up often tend to get more feminine. But there's a kind of nature in the masculine-feminine dynamic where the masculine creates and the feminine consumes. Not in an insulting way, but in just the way the dynamics works. The consumption is essential also. The consumption transforms what is produced here into something value-added. The masculine produces it, the female consumes it, and we benefit all together from it. Now, if the general idea of this, and you could research these things, there are many philosophers who talk about some of these things. The general idea of some of this is that in order for this generally to work, is the masculine has some form of leadership in that, because you cannot have the consumer demanding of the producer. It just wouldn't work. But if you have consumption increasing, and that's what is happening all over the Western modern world, the consumers are getting further and further up the ladder, more and more power, demanding more and more from the producers. And then they are insulting these young men, calling them incels, throwing them further and further into corners of society. The problem with young men is they can get violent. You do not want to poke the young men bare. That's a bad idea. All you need is for some charismatic revolutionary leader to jump in on them, and all of a sudden these young men start to move very scary. Listen, the entire internet banned Mr. Andrew Tate because of stuff like that. All of a sudden this weird bald-head British man is leading an entire generation of little boys, young men online into a strange social ideology. How is he doing that? Because you all are forsaking those young men and you're playing with trouble. You don't kick that bear. That's revolution. That's revolution you are playing with there. And many countries in the West are playing with revolution. When your country becomes decadent and effeminate, just look at history. So I don't disagree with you that they are doing that. We are, though, demanding reparations. On October 19th, the BBC reported that the UK government said there would be no apology for Britain's role in the transatlantic slave trade at Chogam. The BBC quoted a government spokesperson saying its focus will be on current issues such as driving growth across its economies. I don't care for an apology. To be honest with you all, I really don't care for an apology. I really don't. And I'm glad. I am glad Britain is not apologizing. I am glad, because none of the British that are alive now did anything to any of us to apologize for. That is such a ridiculous concept that we want them to flagellate. And you know, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. What? What kind of ridiculous show pony nonsense is this? That's our biggest issue. That's what we want. We want to get the white man to kneel and apologize to us in a show. All of these people who talk like this, they remind me of the boomer Democrats. Those black boomer Democrats in the United States that love shows. They love sentimental little trinkets. They don't want anything really that really pushes their culture and their people forward. Just shower us with shows. That's why the Democrat Party during 2020 dressed in the African way and kneeled down for 9 minutes. As if that's doing something for black people anyway. Like, the UK is right. Let's speak about driving growth across our economies. Let's speak about growing our economies. Let's speak about making business easier. Let's speak about allowing people to be entrepreneurs and moving barriers out of their way. I don't need an apology for something my great Nanan went through. I did not go through that. What are you apologizing to me for? In a statement sent by WhatsApp on October 20th, Fergus said, the obstinacy of the British government to attempt to veto discussion on reparation at CHOGM 2024 is an insult and abomination to the descendants of the victims of these crimes against humanity. It must not be tolerated and must be defeated by other conscientious heads of state. The committee continued, fully supports a position taken by CARICOM Reparations Commission Chairman Professor Hilary Beckles that no carpet is big enough to sweep under the just demand for reparations from Britain for its leading role in the human trafficking and enslavement of Africans for hundreds of years. Are we going to go through history and demand that from everyone who did slavery? Are we being serious? And, part of the reason I often say that, I don't care about it. I think it's foolish. I don't think it's going to help. But if they're giving reparations, pass them my way. But part of the reason I really don't want them to is because I have the feeling that even if reparations were to be given, here's how reparations would very likely be given if it were to be given. They would send checks to some NGO or to some government organization. So we will not get a cent. They may send a grant to the University of the West Indies, some millions into an endowment so the university could get some money, and that's how they pay us back, or give the government a donation of XYZ so Dr. Rowley could spend the money. You aren't going to get a cent. Most of the reparation, that's how it works. That's why the Professor Hilary Beckles and the doctor this and the doctor that and the professor this, that's why they are the ones demanding it very often, because they are the ones who are going to see the money. They're in charge of the NGO that's going to get the billions in donations so that they could spend it as they see fit. And they will really be the ones that get the reparations. You think that Britain is going to cut a check for 100,000 each for black people? That is never going to be how this works. If the citizens can benefit from resources in those countries that enslaved us, then that is thing. Those countries that enslaved us. So you mean like many of the tribes in Nigeria, the entire western coast of Africa, most of those countries? You mean like the entirety of Arabia, all the Arabs? The government system in Trinidad and Tobago is under NATO European systematic slavery all now. Well, I wouldn't call that slavery, but it is dominance. The reality is, though, Loverboy, and this is why some of these things are so pathetic, and it dumbs down the Africans across the world. It makes you dumber listening to some of these things and obsessing over them, because you lose sight of how the world works. This has always been how the world works. There was always a dominant force. There's never going to be a time on this fallen earth where you're all going to be fully self-determinate. The United States is going to have no effect on our affairs. The European Union is going to have no effect on our affairs. We'll be fully independent and self-determination and self-determinant. No, if you want to be the full determiner of your fate, then the way to do it is become the biggest fish in the pond. Take over everyone, control everyone, and then you could determine how the direction things go. Until then, you're but a small fish in the pond. And that has always been how the earth has been. The Gauls didn't like that the Romans had control over them. The Egyptians didn't like that the Greek had control over them. The entirety of Anatolia didn't like that the Assyrians had control over them. The Babylonians had control over that entire Fertile Crescent. Those tribes didn't like that. No one did. Now, Loverboy, I like that tone, because to me, that makes more sense. Here's the story. You are not my king! Indigenous Australian senator yells at visiting King Charles. Listen, it's funny, some of this modern nonsense. While he indeed is your king, An indigenous senator told King Charles III that Australia is not his land, and the British Royal visited Australia's parliament on Monday. She was escorted out of parliamentary reception for the royal couple after shouting that British colonizers have taken indigenous land and bones. You committed genocide against our people, she shouted. Give us what you stole from us, our bones, our skulls, our babies, our people. You destroyed our land. Give us a treaty. We want a treaty. Listen, you don't get a treaty by begging for it. You have to get it from a place of power. Like, this all seems so ridiculous to me. You are literally in the parliament as designed by the British in a country that has been ruled and controlled by British descendants for decades, maybe centuries. He indeed, by all measures of how we understand the English language, he is your king. And you're out here jumping up and shouting, you are not my king. And this is what I mean. We are in an effeminate time in history. This is an effeminate time. Well, obviously it was a lady senator, but that's female behavior, where you depend on the graciousness of others to act a fool. Women do more road rage on the roads generally because it's understood they don't have the same threat of violence. That's effeminate behavior, where you are acting as if you are talking from a position of power while you are the weak person in this relationship. So what you are hoping for is the grace of the other person while demanding it and insulting and bullying them for it. That is such an effeminate kind of behavior. And I hate that we are participants in it. I hate that we are participants in it. Demanding it. What do you mean demand from who? In what position do you find yourself that you can demand this? The demand that you could make is based on a moral view. A moral view that the British gave to the world. How asinine are we? The British sent this anti-slavery moral view out into the world. The British blockaded the African coast to stop the African kings from selling their own people. The British used their top navy, which was the #1 fighting force in the world back then, to go around the world and try to stop slavery wherever they found it, because they found that moral view that slavery was wrong and an abomination. And now we want to use their view and demand of them our concessions. It's a strange thing to me. It is a strange thing. Very strange thing, and I don't like it. This is where I feel more solutions are. TTASME disappointed Afrexim Bank not introduced to TNT. While the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Small and Medium Enterprises expressed gratitude for the measures outlined in the budget presentation aimed at diversification, it also voiced disappointment over the inability to accommodate the Afrexim African Export-Import Bank in Trinidad and Tobago. There were levels of disappointment about not accommodating the Afrexim Bank here in Trinidad, as many trade benefits can be achieved through this medium. We look forward to the settling of staff accommodation issues and the establishment of mutual relations, eventually leading to a branch in Trinidad, the TTASME stated. And this is the thing. Very often what we see is these complaints are there, these complaints are made there, and you wonder, I feel like sometimes those in power, some of those powerful nations and powerful people, love the fakery. They love the pageantry and the acting and the begging for talk and the begging for this and the begging for that. They love that. But the moment you start to make moves to actually get things done, ooh, that's going to be locked down. So France may apologize year in, year out for what they've done, and but the moment you try to let's get the French out of the African gold. No. Now let's not get out of hand. Let's try to get ourselves out of the clutches of the European Union and being forced to trade and negotiate under their no. Let's go back to asking and begging for reparations and apologies. Let's not go in that direction. Ronnie says that bank is bad news. Sorry to say, in my opinion, by the way. Maybe. But I do think increasing options is a benefit. I think the bank coming here with the options is a benefit. No one says you have to go and use that bank or join it. But it may be bad news, but in terms of all the other banks, which one of the other banks are good news? I mean, banks have been robbing populations blind for the last 100 years. So to tell me that, well, this bank might be bad news and they may be crooks. Well, all of the banks are like that. What's new? What's new? European banking says, no, it's not, Loverboy. That's dreamful talking. It's not over. Scotia is still the bank with the most foreign exchange reserves. Yeah, I think it would be of benefit to us to get that bank in, and that's, to me, the direction we need to go in. Like, that's the job. You don't go looking for apologies from 200 years ago. Go making deals for tomorrow. And the strange thing is, that's what the British are talking about. I ain't no why, boy, Otis. The strange thing is, that's what the British are talking about, while we want to go back to 200 years ago. At a post-cabinet news conference in June, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley sought to explain why Trinidad and Tobago has not signed the agreement. Rowley stated that the relationship between Africa and CARICOM is very close. The Afrexim Bank is reaching out to the Caribbean. It is very involved with CARICOM. You all may have noticed in the last 3 years, I would say the last 4 years, CARICOM has made a lot of effort in reaching out. Growing our relationship with Africa or the Middle East and elsewhere in the world. There has been a very big push by CARICOM to get involved or have involved in our region the people who are our friends outside the region. Rowley pointed out that there is a bit of difficulty if TNT engages in this initiative. That difficulty is experienced so far with Afrexim Bank and its documentation and operation in our country. And that is, the bank is asking for its staff to earn tax-free salaries in Trinidad and Tobago. What that means is the local people working for the bank do not have to pay tax. I don't know why the bank is taking that position, but that's the bank's position. Now, that has far-reaching consequences because it's against the existing arrangements of privileges and immunities and policies, he said. Trinidad and Tobago need to join the BRICS Union quickly. No, Loverboy, we do not. Like, again, Loverboy, this is the kind of thing that I wonder about with how are we thinking? So, you say that the European Union and those systems are advantageous. They are not to our benefit. Okay. What makes you think China is going to care about you more? What makes you think Russia is going to care about you more? What makes you think India is going to care about you more? What gives you that notion? Those countries, like, okay, fine. Brazil, I believe, has the largest Afro population outside of Africa. So if you're an Afro person, you may believe in that African solidarity, even though reality tells you that doesn't really exist like that. But okay, you say Brazil is on your side. South Africa is on your side. What makes you think China, Russia, India is on your side? Like, I was hearing this internet clown. I know he's not an actual clown, and he says some occasionally intelligent stuff. The guy with the glass eye. I don't know how many of you know him on YouTube. What's it? Charleston White. He was saying something that he believes the white man is the true ally of the black man. The only group that actually F's with the black man is the white man. I mean, I think he was purposefully saying that a bit provocative, but there's a point to that. The kind of working together that you see in Europe and the United States among the whites and blacks. Okay, you think because you think some man kinda hates you and hates your complexion and you think so. But you look at these societies, and these societies bend over backward attempting not to insult black people. You think that's the case in those other countries? You really think that's the case? Like, no. They don't like you. Not like that. So what are we playing here? What are we playing to? We need to run into bricks. For what? Like, okay, maybe some of the partnerships and deals we are in aren't fully beneficial and the best they could be, and maybe we need to look over some of those. Fine, I don't have a problem with that, but that doesn't mean that we run open arms into the next guy. You see, that's such a political ploy that's used very often. Don't worry about how bad I might be. Look, the person there, look how bad they are, and get you to run into me and I'm worse. Scare you out of the pot into the fire. So, no, I'm not on that. We just sign up with BRICS, and that is what we need is to join BRICS. You see, if we join BRICS, this story is still around, and you all know personal stories aren't really my thing, but it's so curious to me why it's around like this for so long. File on Jaden's tragic death yet to be sent to the DPP office. The file into the circumstances surrounding the death of Form 4 student Jaden Lalchan has not yet been sent to the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions as of October 21st. Police did not divulge details, saying the investigation was sensitive and active. However, they confirmed that several people were interviewed and the file is expected to be submitted within the week for further advice. What's the prosecution they're aiming to do in this case? I agree with that, Ronnie. We need to toe the line and play all the sides. It's in nearly any game you're playing. If you're the smaller, weaker person, you have to be more strategic. Your strategy has to be much better than all of those who are stronger than you. And that's what we need to be, strategic. Well, Ronnie, from what is being said, there are allegations that he was bullied in school. The parents laid allegations at a specific child, as far as I know. They said the school didn't act as they should, while the school took out a full page ad to say that there was no previous report of bullying from the boy. So I'm not very certain what are we looking for here. Hear this piece. Jaden's mother, Farida Lalchan, claimed that he had been verbally harassed by other students in the days leading up to his death. This tragic incident sparked outrage, with many accusing the school of failing to address the bullying issues. In response, the school placed a full-page advertisement in a newspaper denying that Jaden had reported any instances of bullying. RL says schools never take these things seriously. We still care a little about mental health here. To be honest with you, RL, and this could sound callous, I don't think that's the school's place to care about that. I don't think that's the school's place. You are to care about your child's mental health and how they're doing and how their mind and emotion. I don't want no school digging up in my baby head. Good night. If it was brought to their attention and they never document it, there is no record of same. True. Very true. Fact. Somebody had to be held accountable in this situation, whether it's the student or the school. Why? Held accountable for what? Held accountable for what? If I say mean words, I am supposed to be held accountable for your actions based on my mean words? Held accountable how? I'm telling you, I said this before when discussing this. Bullying isn't the out of the norm thing here. Bullying is the norm. I am not saying that bullying is a good thing. Don't hear what I'm not saying here. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's the norm. RL says homeschooling for my daughter it is then. Well, you all know I'm a promoter of homeschooling. That's what I do. That's what mindful education does. That's our whole shtick. I am about that homeschooling life because when I look at the public school arrangement, it's impossible. It's not possible to function in this hairy, fairy, magical, utopian way that we want it to. No school is going to keep your child safe from hurtful words. Which school is going to do that? And for a school to do that, it's going to be out of place. A school cannot afford to police your child's emotions. That's not the school's job. And that's why now we have schools that now the school has to have a psychologist, they have to have a peer counselor, they have to have a student guide, they have to have a this, they have to have a that, and next thing you know, somebody in your child is telling them they're an alphabet. And we wonder how we get there because we're asking the school to do things that are not in the school's duty. The school is not supposed to parent your child. I remember reading one of those stories. Someone is saying they're packing an extra juice in their child's lunch bag for the bully. What kind of foolishness are you telling me? Your child is being tortured in a school. You are aware. And instead of you attempting to, get this solved and not even send your child one day into hell, you're telling me that I'll pack an extra juice for the bully. I know Dion Reed, and how is the US system working with all those extras in it? All those extras to help the child's brain. We still have a set of those children lopping off their body parts, jumping up Monday morning, picking up a rifle, running in the school and looking to end everybody. With all of those added staff into the school attempting to parent the child. Laxative in the extra. But Joe, Joe, how you telling me that you sending your child into being bullied and you know it's happening. You are an adult. This is a child. There's no way my child is telling me, Daddy, they are bullying me, they are beating me up, they are stealing my food in school, and I'm going to say, well, you had to go to school this morning, and damn if you do, damn if you don't. No, that's not the case, Dion. There's no damn if you do, damn if you don't here. It's that's not the school's job, and the school cannot do the job anyway. We're asking the school to do a job it cannot do. And we're expecting it to happen and then being surprised when it keeps not happening. Hi, I work in the school system and it is truly bad. I know. I worked in the school system and I'm not there anymore. I don't want to be. I don't think what we are expecting from schools is what we are going to get from schools, because it's not possible. That's why I am on that homeschool vibe. And here's the thing, Otis. And I know this could sound like victim blaming, and I'm not directing this at the unfortunate circumstance there. But as a parent, to other parents out there, at some point in time, if your child is a bully magnet, watch how you parent your child. Like, okay, you are supposed to protect also, but especially for a boy, if he's always a bully magnet, what's going on there? There was talk about he was being bullied about an accent. This boy been in Trini for 7 years. What accent? He was in school with a mask. Like, some parents are really not thinking about these things. Like, didn't you go to school? Would you paint a bullseye on your child's back? I know, Anika, but I'm saying, I'm trying not to get too detailed, to be too targeted in certain things, but I'm hoping people read between the lines. I'm hoping people read between the lines. One of the accounts said a teacher bullied him. And when you read what the teacher said, he asked the teacher a question, and the teacher told him, I'm not your mother to be giving you all of this attention. What kind of questions and what attention? Like, let's think we are big people. You could, yes, Otis, yes, Otis, we can think. We can think. And to attempt to make it seem like something is what it is not, we need DPP, and we need to revolutionize anti-bullying. And almost all the time we go into these things, we create more problems than we solve. So how do we do this? Okay, let's get some psychologists in the school to, talk to people and get them we need to therapy, give them some therapy. No, it's not going to solve the problem you're looking to solve. Those boys have no daddies. Some of those, I'm not talking about this specific case. I'm talking about many of those bullies. Those boys have no daddies. Daddy isn't in their life. That's why they are so miserable and indisciplined. You are not going to send a peer counselor into the school and replace daddy and get them sorted out. That's not how that works. And especially when in Trinidad, we decided that what we're going to do is mix the whole bag. So we have children from obviously polar different upbringings, and we see that we're going to throw them all in the same school to learn the same way in the same environment. Does that make sense? I am all for exclusivity in schools. I am all for exclusivity in schools. These things shouldn't be happening. Problematic students should be separate so that they could be dealt with. But that's not the system we have. So we want to group all of them together and somehow magically make it work. Really, really. Yes, RL, and I am for segregation in schooling. Every child doesn't have a right to be a peer of every other child. What is that? Where is that said? Where is that in the human rights? What? No. That does not make sense. The system cannot work like that. You are not going to get every child from every varying background to behave all perfectly in the same institution together. That's not how it works. Have any of us in and around the school system seen what happens when they zone a child? A child who would have probably been in a different grouping, zoned into schooling of a different grouping. But here's the thing, Rani. Being on grades would solve for those others. Yes, Otis, but now we don't like that because that's mean. That's mean. It's a bad thing to say that some students perform better than some, so we should put them together. That's unkind. So what we should do is put them all in the same place and then be surprised when it doesn't work. We put them all in the same place and attempt to work magic to make it and force it to fit into the way we want it to fit. That's not going to happen. It's just not. So all the people praying and hoping and lobbying, anti-bullying, stop the bullies and no, they are still going to, there's nothing you can do to stop that. Nothing. In our system, it's not going to stop like that. Ronnie, I heard that someone edited that, that they actually had it spelled correctly, and someone went through quite a bit of effort to edit the thing to make that typo. I don't know. I don't want to believe, because all the posters had the same thing, Ronnie. I don't want to believe everybody misspell it. I don't want to believe everybody misspelled. Like if one had it misspelled, maybe. But everybody posted, nah, that seems a little stretched. That seems a little stretched to believe. And I hope all of you understand from this. I'm not saying that I want children to be bullied or it's a good thing to bully children. Even if a child is a walking victim, even if a child has a bullseye painted the size of Nicholas Towers on their back as they walk through the school, you still should not bully them. It's not a good thing, obviously. But many not good things happen in society. And there's nothing we could do to stop a lot of those not good things. You know what I find interesting in looking at the news of late, though? It seems like nearly the majority of the court cases are police against police. I wonder, what is the bill for a commissioner and lawyers? Police recruit prevented from taking the oath takes commissioner to court. A police recruit who was not allowed to take an oath and told to leave the police academy has been permitted by the High Court to challenge the police commissioner's decision. Aviel Williams was granted leave by Justice Joanne Charles to advance a lawsuit against the commissioner. She said she went through all the training. She as far as she knew, she passed everything, and just randomly, however, during a briefing, she was told to report to the faculty office at the police academy, St. James, and was not allowed to take the oath. She said all she was told was that she would not be sworn in as there was an issue with her file, which was by the commissioner for review. She was then told to change out of uniform and proceed on administrative leave. She tried to get information from the police service for her removal from training, and on October 16th, Williams was asked to report to the faculty office, which she did. She was told there was an error in communication, but that instructors were still waiting on the commissioner. We just have to prepare our kids to face the harsh reality that awaits them out there. Yes, that is partially true. But to me, while I prepare my child for the harsh reality, I don't see it necessary for my child to live in that harsh reality. If you understand what I mean. Like, they say, yes, she is Joe. They say those newborn babies, they have to get some sun to, make sure that jaundice doesn't come on, and, the sunlight is necessary. But they recommend you carry them in that early morning sun, before. You don't carry a newborn baby in 10 o'clock sun. Between that 10 to 3, that's not the sun you carry a newborn baby to take. Anika, we working on it. I'm pulling back to 9. The time is supposed to be 9, not this 10 o'clock nonsense. Even for me, my time is be ridiculous. Even for me, so I understand fully. The reality of the world, the difficult reality, isn't what I think children should be growing up in. Some people like the idea of their children graduating from prestigious schools, yes. And I mean, who wouldn't like that idea? To be honest, let's be honest. Would you not want your child? Would you not want your child to graduate from a prestigious institution? I would. That would be a cool thing. But I don't think that the situation I'm supposed to put my child in to prepare them for the harsh reality is the harsh reality. And the unfortunate thing is oftentimes some of these public schools are worse in terms of the reality of some of these public schools are worse than the actual life realities. The actual life realities sometimes are softer than what what some of those children go through in some of those public schools. And this is why I said when I was speaking about that previous issue and that previous circumstance there, that the normal thing is bullying, the abnormal thing is the reaction. Because I know young men who went through 7 years of torture. Legit torture. It was a horrible experience for them. 7 years. And they will never see years of torture like that in their life again. There are many people who the most difficult time in terms of peer-to-peer stress that they will ever face in their entire life will be in the years of high school or the years of schooling. And I don't think that's what it should be. Like, okay, yes, there should be some playful jabs and you learn to get along. You learn about disagreements and all of that. But it shouldn't be hell for 7 years for your child. That's not what it's supposed to be. And that's on the parent to make sure it's not that. You cannot bulldoze the entire world to make it into paradise. So it's upon you to take the reins and do what you must do to make sure your child doesn't have to live through hell. But it's not just the recruit. Again, another one suing the police. Ex-SWAT officer challenges continued suspension. A police officer has been permitted to challenge his continued suspension after almost 3 years. At the time of suspension, he was assigned to the now defunct Special Operations Response Team. His suspension took place around the time of an investigation into the deaths of Andrew Morris and Joel Belcon, who were suspected of kidnapping and murdering Andrea Barrett in 2021. However, months earlier, the Police Complaints Authority had completed an investigation into the matter, and no action was taken against him. Despite this, Gonzalez remains on suspension. He was granted leave by Justice Frank C. Prasad on October 17th, and the matter will come up for case management on November 8th. It's interesting to me because, for example, there seem to be so many suspended officers in and around Trinidad and Tobago. The officer who was murdered while working as a security guard in a Rima by a grocery or a mini mart or something like that, he was a suspended officer. And when I see so many of these cases that seem kind of mysterious like that, I wonder if it's like the police and those in authority attempting to get disciplinary action done without going through the full channels that they must. So if they found out something, for example, about the recruit lady, they found out something negative, but to go through the entire proper channels, it's going to be too difficult. They may not be able to get to successfully do it, so they just do it from a management portfolio and cut it there. You want to suspend an officer because you suspect him of actions unbecoming, but you don't have all the evidence and all the ducks in a row to go through the full legal proceedings. So you just suspend him and leave him in limbo. Get him off the streets, but he is in limbo there where we don't have to actually prove anything. Yes, they are, Otis. I wonder if that's the case. Because why else would they be doing things like this? And bear in mind, this stuff costs money. For the commissioner to defend all of these things costs money. And when I say money, I'm not talking about hundreds of dollars. Not even a little $2,000-$3,000. Lots of money. But it can't be suspended inevitably or indefinitely. Says who? Ronnie. Maybe it can. And maybe that's just the idea. If an officer is suspended with pay and they know that they were involved in some little not too top stuff now, they may not care. They may not care because they'd go and work security. They're still legally a police officer. They go work security somewhere or something like that. And the police don't have to deal with an officer who they think may be causing negative blowback on them. And the officer doesn't have to deal with the actual legal ramifications. Win-win for both parties involved. White Leather says they can still rent out their gun and uniform. Well, White Leather, that goes into the next story. Let's see if I could pull that up here. Did I have that? Cops find stash belonging to officer on sick leave. Police gear that was allegedly issued to a police officer who has been on sick leave for about a year. Another one of those very suspicious things, as well as camouflage items and a firearm, were discovered by police officers at a house in Guayar in the early hours of Monday. Among the items recovered was a Phantom BB pistol 4.5mm with a holster, a TTPS identification badge, and in the name of a police constable, a blue t-shirt with a TTPS emblem, a pair of black cargo pants, a blue operational jacket with two TTPS shoulder patches and two front police patches, a black cap marked police ski mask, two pairs of camouflage trousers, and a patterned t-shirt. The items were retrieved at a house in La Savane Circular in Newlands. Well, I don't know, Ronnie. I don't know. Again, if he is an officer that the police are okay, the police service is okay with kind of getting rid of him, we okay with him not being around too much. I'm telling you, these things are suspicious. Why are there so many suspended officers with cases seemingly in limbo? What were they suspended for? What is he sick with? Like, I feel after a year of sick leave, you're looking for disability by now. Like, after a year of sick leave, maybe we're talking about a disability. What could you be sick with for a year plus and then fully recover and enter back the service? Like, I mean, I'm sure there are some things, but I don't think that's a long list. Maybe shot, maybe. That's a good point, maybe. That could be one. I saw recently, speaking about shot and the police suspensions, etc. Speaking about shot and the police suspensions, I saw recently an officer who was shot. He was shot in a shootout with a prison officer and a Venezuelan, I believe, 2 years ago or something like that. And he is now suing the police service over him being shot, because the police service did not have the right safety equipment for him. They didn't have the right vests, etc. to protect him, he alleges. So he is suing the police service because he was shot and now he cannot perform his work duties as he should. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Let me jump into the final part, the final thing we talk about today. Interesting issue here. Farley blames Tobago mothers for rise in crime. Yes, Joe, they do. And the vest, I believe, was expired. But I think he was shot in his foot either way, if I remember the story correctly. I think he was shot in his foot. Mothers in Tobago have come under fire from Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Farley Augustine. The Chief Secretary said that crime has been increasing on the island because mothers are not holding their sons accountable, allowing illegal activities to continue without question. He accused mothers on the island of enjoying the fruits of criminal activities. With 2 months before the year ends, Tobago has recorded a record high of 25 murders, surpassing its 2023 figure of 14. Augustine raised concerns about the rise in crime across villages during Tobago's Diwali celebration on Saturday night. Augustine linked this decline in values on the island to the concept of light being absent in both homes and communities. Look at what's happening in our little villages. The fact that criminals have been able to flourish, it is because light has been absent. It is because the light is absent why mothers are supporting the criminal activities of their sons. They're enjoying the fruits of criminal activities. They are not asking questions about why their sons are behaving the way they are. So how did we arrive at a place where we have become so comfortable with criminal activity, so comfortable knowing that the drug dealer is living downstairs in our homes? Darkness is, in essence, the absence of light. He urged Tobagonians to take responsibility for restoring a sense of morality and integrity within their neighborhoods, ultimately bringing safety and security back to the island. Ronnie says he is correct, but he is correct, and Joe says he's not wrong to a certain extent. I agree. I think he is correct to a certain extent. But I think he's very wrong to a certain extent too. Because if you're talking about, those traditional values that you want to return to the communities, shouldn't that finger point at the fathers first? And to me, even how you phrase this shows the breakdown in society. That you are attempting to hold the mother accountable for the breakdown of the family. If you are okay. The biggest gunman in Bago father is his enabler. Well, you're a Bago person. You could say that I don't know who the biggest gunman in Bago is and I don't know his father. So I don't know. But if you're going down that traditional values and restoring and bringing back and all of that, that traditional value sense with the religious belief is God, Father, Mother, children. There's an order, a hierarchical order. Patriarchal, if you will. So, okay, mommy is allowing the son with guns downstairs and selling drugs downstairs. Where's daddy? Oh, Michael Modesto. Where's daddy? It have no daddy. And here's the thing. For me, if the daddy is a waste man, I could blame the mommy for choosing a waste man. Bad idea. Don't choose a waste man. But how much can you blame mommy for failing or not doing the best job at something that if you are a traditionally minded person, you don't believe that they're very capable of doing in the first place? How is a woman supposed to make a mature man? From what experience would she teach that young man? From what experience, from what wealth and well of experience would mommy be talking when she's attempting to teach the young man how to be a man? How does she teach him that?
To make one point.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I blame a woman because you know something? In my office today, you know what this one big woman would say?
What?
You know, I really can't blame girls nowadays for having 5 and 6 children, father. I said, what? I was confused. So if that's the mentals now, what really think happening here?
And that's why I said, I think, if we're throwing blame around, I'd blame mothers for choosing bad fathers. But how much can you blame mother for not running the family when in the traditional sense, that's not her role? So, yeah, it's on mommy to choose you get to make that choice and you made a bad choice. But nonetheless, it's the men in society, the daddies in society that are lacking in terms of that leadership role. It's them the blame is on for that. Now, on the mother's side, you could prevent a lot of that by not choosing bad daddies in the first place. That's where your choice is in that. But the fact that the bad daddies exist is on the bad daddies. That's bad daddy problem. Bad daddy shouldn't be a bad daddy. And I think this kind of thinking, to me, shows a problem in how many, and really and truly in the black community especially, see the familial arrangement. The black community has a strong matriarchal lean. Mommy is heavy in the black community. The mothers. Big mama's house. The mommy. And To me, that's why you see some of the negatives out of that community also.
But Nathan, here's the thing, right? I think as you know, I keep saying, like, oh, dads are so present now, and we're seeing more fathers, doing anything. So yes. But if you look at what, and this is probably where the mothers could take, but I blame any mothers straight. It have some terrible mothers out there.
True.
Right? That they are hiding their children, they are turning their children against their fathers and whatnot,
true.
And that is very prevalent in Tobago. Like, every time you go, oh, your father is a real waste man, and your father this, and your father that, and your father, because they just, I don't know, what is the culture like?
But
I have no idea.
I agree with you. I agree there are some horrible mothers out there and all of that. But to me, in how I'm putting blame, if I am looking at this as the traditional rule, that's still on the leader. Listen, no woman is going to poison my child about me without me getting very seriously involved.
How serious you could be involved? Let me give
What do you mean how serious you could be involved?
Let me give you this good story of my good friend who had this woman. They had 2 children together. I think they were married or something like that. And the woman come and she was like, oh, I cheated on you. I don't know if the second child is your child, blah, 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 blah. It was his child. I was like, okay, cool. And here we cheat on him with the cook, eh? Oh, Lord. Anyway, they come and they break up. The woman started to move every few months. So this man cannot find where this woman living. Right? She hide in the children. When it's time to pick up the children, she not drop in the children. All kind of thing, he going by the police, he going to court. Nothing happening. And of course, what they could do, if it's a man who have a case before the court, they going to arrest him if he's not paying child support. But the woman not bringing the children, they're not doing the woman nothing.
Listen, I agree to all of that. But I still find some of these men, one, just how we were blaming the women for choosing wrong men, some of the men choose wrong women too. 1. 2. I have to be careful what I say before there are legal ramifications for what I say. But no person is removing my children from me. It's not going to happen. Never. I promise you that.
That didn't sound good.
You understand what I mean? And to me, that's how all men are supposed to be. Like, what do you mean? Some law on a paper and somebody... No. What do you mean? The moment I get them, then you don't get them back if you're trying to hide them from me. You bring the police to me, and then we'll solve it when the police finally decide to act. Like, oh, you see some of these men take that as an excuse. Nah, she move it. No, she don't want me see them. And she don't want me see them. And every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he living like a single man on the avenue. She don't want me see them. And she really don't want me see them. And you're glad she don't want you see them. Nah, I'm not buying that. I'm sorry, I'm not. Because, like, I know of a situation where a woman did that and left the United States and came to Trinidad to estrange the man away from his children. The man, a U.S. citizen, figured it out, came to Trinidad unbeknownst to everybody, kidnapped his children, and carried them to Ecuador. She never saw them again till they were adults. Now, I am not saying that that is what you should do. I'm not saying that. But that's the kind of seriousness I'm talking about. If you're a leader, you are the leader. You are the person that is supposed to chart the course for all of this. You are the strong one. You are the powerful one. You name man. How you mean? No, boy, she don't want me to see them, boy. How you mean?
I don't appreciate that crying.
How you mean? And that's why I say, like, all right, I don't doubt that there may be edge cases where it's basically impossible and it's very difficult. Yeah. But I don't think that's the majority of cases. I really don't. So that's why I say, yeah, that blame on bad family structure goes back to the man. If you are the leader, it's like Dr. Rowley. I don't want to hear you complain about anything in the country, Dr. Rowley. You know, I don't like the crime situation. What you're talking about, you are the leader. Yes, I know that it's not easy for the leader to just do things. You are still the leader. And whose job is it to fix this problem if you are the leader and it is a problem? Whose job is it to fix? That's why I don't want to hear Mr. Hines talking about, well, we gave the police the best we could. Well, then fire somebody, move something, create a law, change something. You are the leader. You are the minister, the servant, the main servant in the country responsible for national security. That's your portfolio. You are the leader there. All that goes wrong falls on you. If it wasn't your fault that it happened, it's your fault to fix it. So if you as a man want to jump into traditional masculinity and you know you're in the traditional familial role and all of that, it's not just telling women what to do and women are to be submissive and make me a sandwich. No, take the responsibility of leadership too. Heavy lay at the head that weareth the crown. Fact. Hold your responsibility straight on your shoulder and walk with it. If you have to go to court every week for a year in order for that to happen, well then that's your role, big man. Make it happen. So that's why I say for what Mr. Farley said there, in his accusation, I think that should more be directed towards the fathers. The mothers are secondary in that. The mother's role oftentimes is choosing bad fathers, as I said. That's oftentimes where mommy went wrong. Mommy chose a bad father in the first place. But in terms of the actual leadership of the family and why the family is in that bad state, I blame that on the men. You are the leader. And here's the thing. As I said, I think even the pointing in the direction of the mother as the solutionary for this, as the mother supposed to be the one that's responsible for all of that and all of that, and that shows that bad thinking, that flawed thinking in the familial structure. Because it's not even like you're coming at this from a modernist, more feminist, egalitarian point of view, where you're saying, well, mothers are supposed to be just as much leaders as fathers. If that was your view, okay, well, then that's your argument. But no, you're coming from this with the traditional view. So, no, mothers are not just as much leaders. Duke slams Chief Secretary's nasty attack on Tobago mothers. Now, I would slam the attack in a certain sense too. But I think the direction that Duke slammed this in further corroborates the negatives in the community. Here's what I mean. PDP leader WORSEN Duke has called on his former colleague Farley Augustine to apologize and resign following comments he made about Tobago mothers. Duke said the nasty and direct attack came on the heels of some mothers working at CPEP being told they would be paid late by the Tobago House of Assembly. At a press conference on October 21st, Duke said tears came to his eyes when he learned of the comments. I'm not normally moved easily, but when I recognize that someone who I had confidence in to lead Tobago is now attacking the foundations of our civilization, I said, my Lord, my Lord, my Lord, have mercy on me. What have I unleashed? Something has to be wrong with the Chief Secretary. Incorrectly saying Augustine was wearing a sari. Duke said the man was wearing a sari. It was a kurta. He said he did not even look good. I want to know who dressed him, but that's not the issue. He continued. He went up there and he began to attack Tobago mothers, attack them as if he did not come from mother. And I hate that line. I really hate that line. I've heard that line over and over out in that US elections. So black men can't criticize Kamala because she's a black woman. And y'all came from a black woman. Your mother is a black woman. Your grandmother is a black woman. How dare you criticize black women? What rubbish are you talking? So, So what? If the black woman is doing rubbish, she deserves criticism. The negation of criticism on the mothers can't be based on the fact that they are Tobago mothers and your mother is a Tobago mother. What? No, that doesn't add up. That's not how that works. It's not that we only criticize people that are outside of our circle. What's that? How does that work? I don't agree with that at all. And to me, this is the same problem. Pedestalizing the black woman as the head of the black community, as the one above criticism. How could you criticize the Tobago woman? But you can. You can. I disagree with the criticism, just by the way, as I said first, but I don't think that they are above criticism. And I don't think that the reason they shouldn't be criticized is because someone's mother is in the same group. Maybe your mother was a bad person. So you have first-hand knowledge of the negatives that occur inside of that specific demographic. I tell you that it's probably more annoying to me now because looking at American politics, you see it so many times in this season. Because in the United States right now, it seems like the Democrats have a little problem attempting to hold on to all the black men to vote for them. The thing is, according to the stats, they still very likely are going to get the vast majority of black men who vote to vote for them. But the fact that the percentage is dropping year on year and more black men are going to alternatives, that's really digging some people hard. How dare you not vote for a black woman? Your mother was a black woman. How dare you? Simple. You make a choice. Digging Uncle Barry. What do you mean? When Uncle Barry told them pretty much the same thing? Well, the thing is, your vote counts for the number nonetheless. It counts for the number nonetheless. But I live in a UNC stronghold too. It's very likely going one way in these parts. C'est la vie. Anyway, folks, that's all I have for now. Beautiful Monday evening. I hope you are educated, informed, or entertained. This has been the Mindful Live. I am Nathan Springer. I'll see you guys again for the next Mindful Live. We are trying to get it back to that 9 o'clock time. You know, we now with two hosts. With two hosts. You know, the schedule has to tweak and shape and fit. You know how it goes. But we'll get it done. We'll get it done. We're looking for the 9 o'clock time. We can't be running this till 12 business all the time. So we're looking to organize around 9 o'clock tomorrow, Tuesday, for that next Mindful Live. As I said, I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. Maybe drop to 3 days a week. I was thinking about that same thing too. We'll discuss it in the Discord. So if you all aren't in the Discord server, you could join. I believe the link is still on my page over there on TikTok. Join that Discord server. Until the next time, folks, hold it down. Stay well, stay good. David Army, your first time over on YouTube. Appreciated you being here, sir. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys again for the next one. Laters, folks. Peace. I'm out.